Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we have Elijah and Lailah out on the Pioneer server. We're going to go through the full description of their skills and talk about how effective they're going to be based on the numbers we have, and later on in a future video we will also be doing testing of them as well. Okay, so we have seen a preview of them in the trailer, but that did not go into the details of the numbers, and now we're going to break that down. So the ultimate ability of Elijah and Lailah is Starlight Waltz. The passive effect, Elijah and Lailah fight separately in battle but share the same HP and energy pool. Their maximum HP is increased by 35%. So the first thing that I thought of when I thought about a shared HP pool is if the opponent has AoE damage, or for example even like Bonnie now with the Aging Magic debuff onto both of them, they're gonna overall be easier to kill because basically they're gonna be taking double damage from AoE damage because they have two heroes on the battlefield and they're sharing the health pool. The good thing is they have the higher HP amount, which is increased by 35%, but I don't know if that is enough, because the other problem is Lailah, who is going to be like the melee range version of them, because Elijah has a range of 6, but Lailah will be in the front line with the melee range, and Lailah is then going to be susceptible to being hit with a lot of damage and aggro from the opponent, and this 35% bonus HP, I don't know if it will be enough to allow them to survive. So that's kind of my worry about these twins for PvP content. Anyway, active Elijah and Lailah perform an inspiring duo dance, granting all allies a 60 haste bonus for 7 seconds. It will go up to 9-second duration with maximum level, which everyone will have pretty soon. The haste bonus for the +4 per skill power, you can get 4 skill power this season and 4 ultimate power this season. This 4 bonus will be per ultimate power, so you can get up to 76 haste with 4 ultimate power, but the base will be 60. During the dance, all allies linked to the stellar bond become unaffected. And we'll go into this in more detail further on, but basically the twins have this unique feature that if in a vertical line there is another hero placed in between them, that hero will be part of the stellar bond and gain bonus buffs, and also here would become unaffected after casting your ultimate. The skill can be cast as long as Elijah is able to use ultimate, so Elijah is kind of the caster of this ability. So, okay. Definitely the haste buff duration is really high, 9 seconds, and also it is the highest haste buff of any hero in the game currently, by a lot. Like Mikola is considered to be the best, like the most haste buffer, and she will give a 40 haste buff to your grouped up allies in Courage Sphere, whereas Elijah and Lailah for your whole team, no matter where they are in the positioning, can give them 60 and even more haste. Now the issue is haste has diminishing returns, because the more haste you have, the lower of basically the reduction in cooldown of your abilities, because the key component of haste is reducing the cooldown of your skills to cast them more frequently. But like for example, let's say you have 100 haste, it will half your cooldown. Your cooldown will be cut in half. So like let's say you have a 10-second cooldown ability, it will be down to 5 seconds. Now if for example you have 200 haste, it won't be for example cut down to 0, it will be cut down 2/3. So then you're going to be down to 3.3 second cooldown, but then basically that extra 100 haste is only giving you another 1.7 second reduction in the cooldown. So that is basically the diminishing returns of haste. However, haste is always going to like linearly increase your attack speed, because it increases your casting of normal attacks as well as your skill casting. But basically the cooldowns of your abilities is not going to get as much value the more haste you have. And so that is kind of the reason people are thinking, oh well, maybe this is not going to be enough as a support, for example, for Dream Realm, because we're really talking about Dream Realm when we think about this. But either way, this is the biggest haste buff of any hero in the game, and that is crazy. But it will rely on the ultimate cast. You have to cast ultimate in order for this to be effective. Okay, now we have the skill 2 of Elijah and Lailah, which is Stellar Bond. This is one of the key like defining abilities of these two, the Celestial Twins. So Stellar Bond links Elijah and Lailah, forming a straight line link when they are aligned on the battlefield. And for these two specifically, they will always be aligned with each other. Now the question is, you will also have to have an exact positioning, and we can show it like later on. But basically, the hero which you want to link to them has to be between them, and it has to be in an actual vertical line. It can't be like kind of a little bit off and the bond is going to go through. It has to be exactly vertical. And the issue with this is if you have your carry on the rearmost tile, like on the faction tile and buff tile, there will be no way for Elijah Elijah and Lailah to be positioned in a way to link that hero, because that is the rearmost tile. There's no way to get that hero in between the two of them in a vertical line. Anyway, okay, so allied heroes placed between Elijah and Lailah along this line also become linked. The Stellar Bond links grants a permanent 25% attack bonus to Elijah and Lailah when no other allies are linked. However, the bonus decreases by 5% for each additional ally linked. So for example, let's say you have Harak and you're linking Harak with the twins, then Harak and the twins are going to gain a 20% attack boost. Let's say you have the two twins positioned, you are not able to link anyone in between them. The twins will have a 25% attack boost. Let's say you were able to link Harak and Freyasto in the Stellar Bond with the twins, then all of them will have a 15% attack increase. That's based on the wording, how it would work. In the active, Elijah is the long-range caster, sends a golden glow through the Stellar Bond link to Lailah, restoring up to, if we take a look at the upgrades, up to 45 energy with Elijah's golden glow. To allies along the path. Simultaneously, Lailah sends a green glow through the Stellar Bond link to Elijah, healing each linked ally along the path for an HP amount equivalent to 130% attack multiplier, and skill power is going to be beneficial to even boost the energy recovery and healing. Now, the problem is, this is only for the twins themselves and whoever is linked with the Stellar Bond. It is not a team-wide heal. That is one issue, because basically Elijah and Lailah are not going to be like, for example, Mikola or Smokey, who can heal your entire team. Elijah and Lailah will only be healing your allies who are within this Stellar Bond. And that is kind of like, I mean, for support, you would want generally to have healing for the whole team, shielding for the whole team. They do have more abilities. We're going to take a look at them. However, here we have it. And now the thing is, I don't know. It doesn't exactly specify what is the active. The active is a really kind of low energy recovery amount in healing, and it's on a 12-second cooldown. Now, definitely with the haste boost of the ultimate cast of Elijah and Lailah, this can be down to 6-second or even below that cooldown, depending on how much haste buff you have on your team. However, it doesn't seem impactful enough. Every 6 seconds gaining a bonus like 45 energy, or even with the skill power another 60, so another 60 energy every 6 seconds. I don't know, that doesn't seem crazy. However, let's just talk about something right now before I forget about it. If you look at Elijah and Lailah on their exclusive equipment, they gain a stat called Assistance. I don't think I've ever heard of this stat before. I don't know if it's a new stat or what it is, but this every point is going to increase the duration of most buffs provided by the unit by 1%. And I think this is also going to apply to the energy recovery amount. So like the energy recovery amount is probably going to be boosted by 15% because of this assistance that they have. So that is another thing to keep in mind. Yeah, like healing is a stat that increases the effectiveness of your heals and shields, and I guess assistance is kind of a new stat, or I never heard about it before, that is going to increase the value of your buffs, which will probably be this energy generation. I'm not sure, and the like haste and attack buff. Okay, but basically, yeah, from that assistance is probably going to amplify your haste buff, probably going to amplify your energy generation, probably going to amplify the attack buff, I'm assuming. I don't know exactly what the stat is doing, but that is what it sounds like from the wording of that. Okay, moving on to Cosmic Protection skill number 3. This is on a long cooldown, 15 seconds, but again, with the massive haste buff, you're going to cut this cooldown way down. Elijah grants Lailah, and Lailah will be in the front line, and one weakest ally, so lowest HP ratio, a shield which will absorb up to 180% of his attack. That will last for 4 seconds will be the duration, and it will go up with skill power up to 5.6 seconds. It makes Lailah unaffected while the shield is active. So there's a lot of unaffected in this kit. The ultimate cast is going to make your linked allies through Stellar Bond unaffected. This Cosmic Protection shield is going to make your Lailah unaffected. Lailah will cast Stellar Pulse on the tiles. But this is only Lailah. It will not be your other weakest ally unaffected, based on the wording. Lailah casts Stellar Pulse on the tiles occupied by Elijah and one ally adjacent to enemies. Okay, so Elijah will usually be in the back line, and one ally adjacent to enemies, dealing damage and inflicting blind for up to 5.6 seconds. So definitely I think skill power charms are going to be the way to go with them. You're getting more value for the debuffs and also more value for your buffs in energy generation. But yeah, in abnormal status, blinded characters are unable to hit enemies with normal attacks. but they can probably hit them with skill casting, but the normal attacks are going to be ineffective, which is strong. But this is going to be dealing to enemies within one tile of the target tiles, but there is going to be one ally specifically who is targeted with this effect who will have adjacent enemies, and then the other one will be Elijah. Elijah's in the back, probably won't have any adjacent enemies. And Stellar Pulse also knocks back enemies surrounding Lailah by one tile. And this is strong because Lailah will be in the front, and this is basically going to give Lailah more survivability, along with like the shield Elijah grants onto Lailah and also the knockback. So that is important, definitely. In order for them to survive effectively, and it has an initial cooldown of 5, which is kind of long, but then it will go off probably when the health is being depleted of the allies. Okay, so definitely not a bad skill, but again, it seems so far the buffs and effects are very targeted. They're either on Elijah and Lailah themselves, or on their linked ally, or in this case, one specific ally who is adjacent to enemies, and one weakest ally. Okay, now moving on to the hero focus. Elijah and Lailah have, at level 3, Elijah and Lailah increase the haste by 15 in battle. That is strong. So even more haste. Each time they cast Starlight Waltz, which is their ultimate ability, they will permanently increase the haste of all allies linked through Stellar Bond by 5, stacking up to 3 times. So themselves are definitely going to take this effect, get this effect, and then whoever is their linked ally can gain up to a bonus 15 haste after casting this ultimate 3 times. So they are massive in terms of haste buffs, and like very easily themselves they're going to get up to 100 haste pretty easily in the match. But and their linked ally also is going to get to an insane amount of haste. But the question is that enough? Like for Dream Realm, is that enough to warrant running them rather than like Mikola, for example? But I feel like as of right now, Mikola is going to be the most replaceable. Smokey probably not, because he gives attack buff, he gives haste buff, and he deals massive damage. Mikola is probably the most replaceable because she just gives mainly attack buff and the haste buff, and Elijah and Lailah can give a lower attack buff to fewer allies, but also give a higher haste buff and energy generation. So that is kind of going to be the trade-off. But yeah, okay, moving on to the Mythic plus ability Starbound Harmony. If the allies, excluding Elijah and Lailah, linked through a Stellar Bond, all belong to the same faction. And I think what this means is even if you have one ally linked in the Stellar Bond, like let's say Harak and then the twins linked to him, then he will probably also activate this effect, because it's still, he has no one to like compare himself with, he is still belonging to the same faction. But a special resonance effect is triggered. The resonance grants linked allies an extra 10 vitality and increases the energy gain by 10%. When we look at the level 3, like plus 10 exclusive equipment, the vitality bonus will be 14, and the energy gain bonus will be 14%, while the Stellar Bond resonance is active. Okay, once the resonance is active, Stellar Bond can be permanently enhanced after all linked allies have used their ultimate. When enhanced, allies gain 10% of the energy cost for each ultimate cast. And when we take a look at the plus 15 exclusive equipment, after Stellar Bond is permanently enhanced, increase the energy returned to allies from each ultimate cast to 15% of the energy used. So basically, a 15% energy refund after the twins or the linked allies cast their ultimate. But first of all, in order to receive this enhancement, you will have to cast, each one will have to cast their ultimate one time. This enhancement can only occur one time per battle. So what I think it means from the wording, I'm pretty sure of it, because also from watching the video trailer, you're going to gain the energy refund multiple times, as many times as you cast your ultimate. However, this initial, like basically enhancement of boosting your vitality of these heroes, as well as boosting your energy gain bonus, which will be 14 vitality, 14% energy gain bonus at plus 10 exclusive equipment. This is going to be a one-time enhancement. You're not going to keep, for example, getting more vitality, more energy gain bonus. This is going to be it, but for the rest of the battle, you're going to have this. And then each time you cast ultimate, you're going to have your energy refunded to you, 15%, which is, I was thinking about this, and this is pretty crazy now for energy generation. And like, for example, Harak in Dream Realm, it will basically mean that Harak can permanently just cycle through casting his ultimate and like permanently remain in an unaffected state. Because after casting his ultimate, if he gets 150 energy back, which is basically going to be 15% back for plus 15 exclusive equipment, and then you have your other ability, Cosmic, or you have Stellar Bond, the active, Gonna give more energy to the Harak. Also, not to mention, you have increased energy gain bonus from this ability, 14%. And then you have like the assistance stat of Elijah and Lailah. Basically, Harak is, after casting his ultimate one time, if Elijah and Lailah remain on the battlefield, it is gonna be basically over. But he will just cycle, always remain unaffected, always deal damage. And that is what I'm thinking is gonna be a deadly type of strategy for Dream Realm. But we're gonna have to see how exactly useful is it. But I think as of right now, I'm thinking just have Elijah and Lailah and only buff up Harak. Like, forget about buffing up anyone else. Just max buff him with the 20% attack buff and then all of these gains, and then cast your ultimate one time to get this enhancement effect, and then it's gonna remain. And I from the sounds of it, I think even if Elijah and Lailah go down, like for example, if Harak devours Elijah and Lailah, which is probably going to happen eventually, then as long as both have casted their ultimate and gained this enhancement, I think Harak is still going to be having this energy refund effect. From the wording, it sounds like it would be. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the final ability, Enhanced Forest Supreme Plus ability. Elijah and Lailah increase the attack, physical defense, and magical defense of each linked ally through Stellar Bond. The increases are equal to 10% of the highest stats among the linked allies, but cannot exceed 25% of the original stats of the affected allies. These stat boosts are not included when calculating increases from this skill. Okay, so there's even more. There's defenses, but more importantly, there's more attack buff. So, the increases are equal to 10% of the highest stats among the linked allies, but cannot exceed 25% of the original stats of the affected allies. Okay, what I feel like this is, again, let's say you have Harak, and Harak ramps up, gets his kills, and goes up to 260% of his normal regular attack. Then 10% of that is going to be really high, is going to be over 25% of his original stats, so he'll be capped out as 25% of his original stats. But I think this is basically going to mean, with Harak linked to the Elijah and Lailah, this is potentially another 25% attack buff that he can receive, up to this 25% maximum. Yeah, I'm kind of confused of how this will work for other heroes. The increases are equal to 10% of the highest stats among the linked allies. Highest stats would mean which ally on your link has the overall highest attack, who has the overall highest HP, and 10% of that, or defenses, and 10% of that will be contributed to all of your each ally linked, including the twins. So it will increase the tankiness of the twins, increase their attack further, and yeah. And yeah, okay, so overall, Elijah and Lailah are looking good. They're looking great, honestly, and I feel like just having them buff up Harak is probably going to be the way to go for Dream Realm, because the hero which takes the most advantage of all of these buffs is Harak. It could also be Talene, but we've seen in Endless Bosses how dominating Harak is, and how he completely made Talene redundant. Like in the previous season, Talene was not using any top Endless team, Harak was using 4 of them. Now with Elijah and Lailah buffing up Harak, I think he's just getting his steroids, basically. I honestly think from this kit, it looks like these are going to be the best buffers for Harak. And especially in the Harak comp, you only need him being buffed. You don't need other allies being buffed. And that's where Elijah and Lailah shine. It's when you're only buffing up one ally, basically. Because then you gain a higher attack buff from your Stellar Bond. So you guys can share your thoughts about Elijah and Lailah in the comment section, what you think about them. We will do testing later on today, so don't worry about that. But I just want to show you now the positioning that you'll have to adopt in order to make this work. We could even take a look at Dream Realm if we can see what we have in the Dream Realm here. Yeah, okay. So the positioning you'll have to adopt is going to be like this. So the thing is, it will have to be on a vertical line. If I position here, it is impossible for any hero to be on a vertical line because they would have to be literally in between these two tiles. If I position like this, then Lily May is going to be linked with the Stellar Bond. But if, for example, I position like this, it will again be impossible for anyone to be linked because there is no one on a vertical. It would again have to be between these two tiles or between these. Yeah, it is not possible to link from here. But if you had, for example, here, then these two heroes can be linked. As you see here, can be linked by the Stellar Bond because it is a vertical line. Or if you have it like this, you can have Lily May linked. If you have it like this, you can have Atalanta linked. But basically, as you can see, at most, in most map formations, other than like Crystal Clash where you have massive like maps, you're only going to be able to link 2 allies at most. And you cannot link a rearmost. Like if I put Harak in this tile, it is impossible for me to link to Harak. So you would have to have Harak, like for example, like this. And you would have, so Lailah is going to be the one who has the, they're not showing it anymore, but Lailah is basically the melee hero version. I'm assuming that is still how it's going to work. You can actually see here, based on how they walk up. And yeah, let's just try some different, like a team sort of setup. But as you can see here, what's probably going to happen is Lailah is going to end up getting killed by the Harak pretty early on. But what we can do maybe to prevent that is we could have, for example, the twins like this, and then they will not be devoured so early on. Yeah, let's try something like this. And then who will be our final hero? We can have like, we could have Mikola, I guess. Mikola, and oh wait, we have so many slots. Mikola, go for Smokey as well. Okay, let's try it and see what happens here. Okay, so the twins, yeah, Lailah is gonna be a melee hero, as you can see, running to the front. Harak is gonna be buffed right now, and this is not a good test right now. We're just seeing exactly how the mechanics are gonna work, but honestly, the haste buff, there you go. Harak is massively buffed up right now. I think this is how you're going to unlock the maximum potential of Harak. I want to see when he devours the Lailah what happens. That's what I want to see most importantly. I want to see Harak devouring the Lailah, and will that insta-kill Elijah as well? Because that is going to be really important for this team. Let's see, has anyone shared a formation using Elijah and Lailah yet? Yeah, okay, there's someone, Pokefish, who got, but he's rank 3 right now, so not necessarily the top scorer, but he's not even using Harak, which is kind of impressive, not even using Harak and getting rank 3. Okay, let's now try having Lailah. Lailah is going to be eaten first, okay? Lailah is going to be devoured. Now, how is it going to work? Okay, catch. And okay, and Elijah goes down. So if you devour Lailah, bye-bye Elijah. Because they're linked together. But it will count, you will go off onto the twins. It will be important that the twins, you need to get the enhancement effect. So the twins will have to cast their ultimate 1 time, and Harak will have to cast his ultimate 1 time. It's kind of like Mikola, Curse Sphere, you cast it 1 time, and then it's fine if whatever happens to her. So that is basically going to be the thing, the mechanics of it. This is the preliminary testing. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. More testing to come, definitely. But until the next video, everyone, peace out for now. And you can share your thoughts about Elijah and Lailah in the comment section. And if you want to join my AFK Journey Discord server to talk more in depth about this or ask me any questions, you can feel free to do that. There's a link to that in the description of this video and all of my videos. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.